Guys, the subject today will touch on some very sensitive topics. It is not meant to offend anyone, it's just opinions we are giving, and we have tried to be as respectful as possible. Please enjoy. Guys, we're back again with the best podcast. Lilo, what is it called?
Podcast.
Based.
I'm not shouting again because I was reprimanded harshly for saying too loudly. And our sponsor today is Physique and Tone from Ruaka.
Physique and Tone Gym, Ruaka.
Yeah.
Right? Best gym in the greater Ruaka area. And I'd say Kiambu. Like, they're the best gym. Rates are 4,500 a month. So it's really affordable. They have the best trainers.
It's affordable.
Yeah, and they have the best trainers.
And it's huge, actually.
It's actually pretty huge. Has all the equipment you need. Has even classes, right? So there's morning classes, evening classes. They go all the way from 5 a.m. Was it 5 or 4 a.m. up until midnight? Yeah. Right? Best gym around. Don't
up
compare
until
it
midnight. That's nice.
Yeah.
Maybe now you guys can make me join the gym.
Like, if you want to be fancy schmancy, I mean, you might think of going to
VMX.
Yeah, but if you actually want to see gains, you actually want to see changes to your physique, it's Physique and Tone.
So,
Bless.
So today's topic is about Michelle Ntalami, the famous
Lipstick lesbian.
Yeah, she's I think the founder of Marini or
Yes.
the CEO of Marini, so she's doing very well for herself.
And we can say that because she outed herself. Oh, yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah. So she's founder of Marini, but the topic today is about her salvation and the change she has made. And we're asking whether it is this legitimate in essence, in terms of, is it because she's much older that she's taking this turn in
You
her
guys
life?
like
Yes.
that.
Yes, no, it has been proven. So many ladies do it. So we just want to talk about it. Is it
Except for
legitimate?
Nagitu.
Yes, and the reason we're doing it is for the men out there who might be tempted to date or marry a woman
Who
Who don't think it's important to know the whole facts.
yes, who don't know about this whole, as in, will you be wise to marry a woman like this? So the first question is going to be, what is hitting the wall? Because Michelle is in that, I think she's 36 or 37.
38. She had a birthday, Juicy, 38.
38.
Very attractive for a 38-year-old, let's not lie. Very attractive woman, not even for a 38-year-old. Very attractive woman, but she's an anomaly.
She's
very attractive woman.
And the first thing is about hitting the wall. And the reason we are asking that question is we have noticed that many ladies who fika between 30, 35, the end of them start taking a very drastic turn in their lives in terms of they get saved.
It started that they have an epiphany and then they start going to church. They start looking for, do you know the guys that they say were boring?
Yes.
They say,
Nice guy, the
when
nice
I was
guy.
young, I used to look for excitement. Now I want
to set
I want
stability.
settle down, I want boring.
And
I want
stability. Yeah.
Stability. I even posted it on my IG today. Because that song was saying something about stability. I was like, I'm attracted to that. Oh my Jesus.
And Lily's looking at us badly when you're mentioning this topic. We have got
It's
you.
because you're mentioning the certain
Also,
things
it's
that are
interesting that Lily notices and she just celebrated her birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
You
Yes.
don't need to tell people that.
We not ask the age. We not ask the
It
age.
was everywhere.
Yes, sir.
But people don't need to know. Those who know. Those who don't. Wise doesn't have to know. You don't know.
So,
Things.
no problem.
And Sid might know. Do you follow me, Energy? No, he doesn't know.
So the topic is Michelle Ntalami's salvation because she has hit the wall?
What is
Define
hitting
hitting
the
the wall.
hole?
Now, Tim, you give it out because
Right, so hitting the wall is a phrase that came from baseball, I believe, which was meant to describe when someone is past their prime, right? So when we use it colloquially in this sense, it is when we are discussing women who are past their prime, they hit the wall, or when they're about to hit the wall, they are nearly at the expiration date. So expiration date is typically 28 to 30. And the reason why it used to be just 30, but now it's early onset because of the lifestyle and the diet mamas have. So you hit the wall. And it is actually also biologically, like, it's a
You
biological
prove it
thing.
biologically. Now you
Listen, you know,
you're
you have,
lucky
a
you don't-
finite, you have a finite amount of eggs. You're born with a finite amount of eggs. And by the time you're 30, you've lost 90% of your eggs, ladies. By the time you're 35,
Yes.
you are praying for a miracle. That is why all of
90?
Prophet
Yes.
Awards, that is why all of Prophet
Going to
Awards
research.
congregants are old women. Because they are praying for miracles.
Okay, I don't know. I'm laughing. It's not funny.
So, and the essence of it is you cannot get the type of men you wanted while you were younger.
Yes.
Because the options are.
They want, because those men want youth, they want beauty, they want
But
a happy
don't-
woman.
don't-
By the time you're 30, you're bitter, your beauty is faded, and you're just
I don't think that's true. But when you are an older man, don't you want somebody who's like your wifey kind? Because when
What do you mean by what do you mean
Yeah.
what do you mean by
my
wifey?
wifey, the like those ones you want to do the cleaning, the cooking, the taking
No,
care
no,
of
no,
the
that's not-
baby.
that's-
when she's old is when she refuses to do that.
Yeah.
Never mind
When
that
I was
she did
young-
that for her boyfriend.
when I was
in
young,
uni.
I couldn't do those things, and I thank God I was based anyway.
That's why you're single.
Like I'm single by choice. But
Subscribe, guys, subscribe.
when I was young, I couldn't do such things. But now I feel like if I get into a relationship, I feel like, I'm not sure, but I feel like I'd be those ones for, okay, I can cook for him
To trap him.
breakfast. To trap him, why?
Because you didn't choose to cook, and we can see the outcome. Now you want to cook.
It's a choice I made to stay single, Chim, and you're well aware. Anyway, that's not the topic. Let's go on, Zolz.
So
I love the statement you made. Feel like.
Yeah, they're always telling me it's
Thank you.
feeling.
thank you.
I wanted to add on to what Chim said. Also, hitting the wall is used in mental health or mental illness.
You don't know this?
I didn't know this.
Yeah, hitting the wall is used
Base
in
these
mental illness,
people.
where someone has reached their capacity, the highest capacity mentally, and they feel like they are at their limit in regards to what it's like. The personality they project to the world is not the personality that is in them.
Kamala
It is
Harris.
something that, yeah, it's. I don't know about that.
That one went all the way left.
But now the thing is, it reaches a point where pretending brings you to your end. Like you get tired of, I have been giving these people a perspective of me that is not me, and I am tired of
You're
this.
a phony.
Or even if you think that that person is you, you have not believed in that person enough, and culture redefines who you are
Unapenda story ya culture, wise.
because you started speaking about it. So
Lily Aisha.
and actually, if you don't know, most of us,
Introduce ourselves.
I was gonna say that actually.
most of us,
I was ready for you to finish.
in regards to humanity, most human beings, not all, most human beings define their identity because of what the culture has made their environment to be.
The zeitgeist.
Because
yeah, agreed.
you can have you in Kenya like with this character. How do you define yourself in regards to personalities?
Single.
No. Yeah, okay, so you can be like, let's say
Chim, I can't wait for you to
can
come
be
to my
you can
wedding.
be you can be an
I'll
ex,
give you the biggest piece of cake.
you can be an extrovert.
I'm constantly an extrovert.
Yeah, so but when you go to China and you're born in China, you can be a totally different
okay.
Yeah.
person.
So I did
Ladies
a-
and gentlemen, my name is Wise Kenya International.
Yes.
Yes, and I am a leader, I am a son, and I am a born again believer. I am not a Christian. I am a believer in Christ. So that's
Let
a
me
whole
ask
other
a different
conversation.
guy.
The
Niambie tu in short.
Christian is a word that was given to Christians, to people who are believers or followers of
Christ-like.
Christ. Yeah, in Antioch, firstly, but it was from non-believers.
It also
And that is why right now the culture, because it's the culture that defined them, the culture has been trying to sustain who they are. I don't know if you know
and
for
it has
sure.
been, it has been
the church
changing based on
yes.
what's in pop culture right now.
Right now the church
Right
of
now, when you go to church, you're told God loves, like God, love is love. You're actually told love is love, even if you're gay.
Yes,
Love is
yes.
love. You're told God is not here to judge you; He's just here to give you love. And you're like, that's not Christianity. It's not what. It's not the base of my faith.
Okay.
and right now currently the Church of England has removed the word church from the context of the Bible in England right now, and they are the
Well, they
basis
started
of
by
so now
agreeing women
that
and
now
then
shows you
right from there.
the perversion of that word. If it's the culture that defined it, the culture will sustain it.
Plus, even right now in America, I know churches allow gay marriages within church.
Definitely.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Another question out of topic, Zola, I'm sorry. Why are you called Kenya International?
Because the first time I started with Wise Kenya, my mom gave me the name Wise, and my sis. So now
There's
everyone
power
started
there.
calling me
Wise.
Wise. So now the
Yeah.
thing is, I'm sort of a patriot, not sort of. I actually love my country.
Damn.
Yeah, so now that's why I put Kenya in it. And then I met an English dude in Mombasa. Stayed in Mombasa for 6 years. And that guy was like, hey, Wise, so let me ask you a question. Why can't you go international? Like, why are you limiting yourself in Kenya? So yeah, then hence why it's Kenya International. So, but Kenya has to be there. It can't be Wise International.
Yeah, I was like, why not then Wise
No.
International?
It has to be Wise Kenya.
'Cause
Because
you're
Kenya
part- you're
is the base. And then now we spread out.
All the
And
best.
then
I
it
love
stopped. Actually, there's a point in time where I stopped calling myself Kenya International. It was just Wise. But everyone had already crammed that thing.
Oh.
So now the brand is Wise Kenya International.
Yes,
I love
Okay,
it.
cool.
So that's out of it.
I know
Yeah,
why
so-
you're called Zola, don't tell me.
Yes, so I was saying, as you can see what I'm wearing, this is Unleash, this is our apparel, and then on my feet I have Afisol Creation, this is what we do. And then another thing, I have two companies, one is called Dancing with Africa, the other one is called Lux Media Consultancies, and we also have an NGO called Al-Kebulan Youth Kingdom. You said you didn't hear that the first time.
I just had Kindle.
Al-Kebulan is the first word, is the first African name, before Africa was named Africa. So it was named Al-Kebulan. And then we were colonized.
Same here.
And then
Same
that
here.
came.
His
No, but
mother gave him a wonderful name,
it
but
came from the Roman general Africanus that I know.
Yes.
But see, now that was the one before, which is I've never
Well,
known
it's-
that.
there were several names, like depending on the culture. Ancient Greeks used to know it as Ethiopias from Ethiopia. They interacted with Ethiopia, and the Greeks knew about Ethiopia, which they knew as just the Horn of Africa. Because even in like when you read the Iliad, now I'm actually trying to match you wait for wait.
Manze,
When
mimi
you
niko
read
tu
the
Michelle
Iliad-
Ntalami.
the Greek gods actually, when you read the Iliad, the Greek gods had what they had gone for, I believe it was a wedding or for a celebration anyway, in Ethiopia, right? So Africa has had several names. What you've taught me is that Africa had a name that was African, yeah? That you've taught me.
So
Love
I think
it.
Wise was the only name we did not know. Guys did not know. And everyone else we know. We're good to go.
You guys know. Let's move on.
Let's move on.
Lily Aisha. You just can't bro.
You should be confident.
Maybe
Just
my
say-
husband is in this episode.
But now your husband will be busy earning those millions.
Yeah.
You can't
He
be
better be, baby. And this is in your background. Let's go.
Focus, bro. Focus, bro.
The next question is gonna be
Want me to get married? Sorry.
if guys who are LGBTQ say they were born this way, why does Ntalami change?
Can I start with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's culture. That's culture. Because there's no way you can say you were born this way. And when you are a child, you are either assigned XX. Is it XY or XX?
XX and
Yeah.
XY.
Yeah,
XX
XX
for
or
women,
XY
XY for men,
chromosome. So think about it. There is no way that you have a male genitalia and a female genitalia. Not both, but some have both. Few. And then
Very few.
you are raised in that inclusive culture where you come and say, I don't think or I don't believe I am a male. I identify myself as a female from now on. And that thing has been accepted. And to my opinion, where it started, even biblically speaking, up to now, the only outcome of every single thing that encompasses that is destruction. Historically. In the 90s, were they prevalent in the 90s? They were not so much, especially in Africa. But biblically speaking, when you go back, you see the two cities that got destroyed actually was mostly because of that. Not because there was no heterosexual sin, it was there. But that was just perversion to that, to the fullest
What you
extent.
said about the alphabet movement being a precursor of the downfall of our society, we have seen that in Rome.
Actually,
When ancient Rome was a very masculine, very patriarchal, very, very driven, ambitious society, right? Very militaristic. But then eventually they became very alphabet infused. And that led, they even had an emperor called Elagabalus, who if you read the history books, ended up trying to perform the transgender operation. And he was part of the emperors that caused the decline. Greeks as well. Greeks also had reportedly a very effeminate culture. Like it was very masculine at a point, and then slowly became very, very effeminate, and it also helped to erode their society. Now, I would say this, however, when we talk about I'm born this way, and you see with Michelle Ntalami changing, I'd say that there are two types of, and again, guys, this is banter, this is just conversation, we're having conversation among peers. And sometimes we will touch on sensitive topics. Deal with it, guys. Your adults, deal with it. The thing about the alphabet movement is almost lopsided. It's almost lopsided just how many of them were touched as children. So I wouldn't say necessarily culture.
That's true.
I'd say a lot of them were touched by children. And this is backed by studies because, look up something called rape trauma syndrome, right? Even when we go back to history and we look at societies that had and celebrated alphabet, they had something called pederasty, which was older men taking younger boys. And among the things that they would do with the younger boys, it involved, molestation, which is wrong, but it happened.
Yeah.
And today we've had an explosion of the same, which is why we also have an explosion of a lot of these guys. And
Really?
in Kenya, when you look at a lot of the guys, men who are like that, they will tell you when you listen to their story, I was touched.
Actually, I have friends, I have people that I know that I have interacted with, and most of the times, most of them have a traumatic.
Now that even me now that I've thought about
Either I was sodomized by my dad, uncle, or another dude, or I was raped by my mom. So there are two. It's not always there.
That's how it usually goes. Or in boarding schools.
Yes.
But now, when we talk about with women, this is actually a study that has shown, and director, please remind me, I'll send you all these screenshots so we can include them. There's a study that has shown women naturally have a propensity to dabble in the same-sex sort of relationships. And that is why society is more lenient on women doing it than it is on men doing it. At the same time, also, there was a time, it goes in waves. There are times it's just cool.
Yeah,
It's just cool.
This
To be a
culture.
lele. Yeah. It's just cool to be a lele. And there you are.
But let me ask you, I don't know how dumb or not dumb this will sound, but they say I was born this way and then they change. We've also been in situations where people are born like, I don't know if this will make sense. Like people are born like men, for them to be transgender. See, they were born that way, but they got to a point that they had to change. So I don't know that point. I mean, you could change. You could get to a point and you want to change.
Understand? There's this saying, as above, so below. And I use it to sort of explain that certain phenomena you will be able to see not only in human beings, but animals. We see things like grape. In animals like penguins, they grape, actually. We see things like molestation gangs in penguins again and in other animals, but it's usually in confinement. When they are not allowed their natural habitat is when you'll see that male animals will go around graping at younger male animals, right? My point being, when we talk about someone say, I was like this, I would expect if a guy is member of the alphabet community, I think you're a man who is attracted to a man, not a man who's attracted to a man who behaves like a woman. You understand? That doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand why they're flowery men. Because if I'm, for example, it's an example. If I'm gay, then I would be attracted to a man. I'd be attracted to everything masculine. As a man, I'd be attracted to everything masculine.
And not the feminine
which is what we
side
saw
of that
in
man.
cases like Sparta. The soldiers were encouraged to be lovers so that you protect your own, but one soldier was not flowery, right? So that is why for me, I'm like, whenever I see a man who's flowery, I'm like, there has to be some trauma there. Because you'd expect two bears to like bears. You'd expect two feminine women to just be in love with the feminine. I'm a feminine woman, you're a feminine woman, we're in love with each other and we love the feminine.
Not the male.
Rather than a bad approximation of masculinity. Because when you look at most lesbians, you will find the masculine one is a terrible approximation of a masculine, of the masculine energy. That is why all of them mimic fuck boys and fuck niggas. I've gone off on a tangent.
I have something else
But
also
that's interesting.
on that thing that maybe we have not said it, the spiritual aspect. We are fallen. Paul talks about it in Romans 7. He says, the things I don't want to do, I do. The things I want to do, I don't do. How does that work with us? We condemn, people will condemn homosexuality and all that. But there are still people who are stealing, people who are killing. In essence, these are people who are allowing themselves to follow their worst impulses. What I'm saying is, these are impulses people have of the fallen man. These people have decided to follow those impulses. You get me? So it's possible that it's there. Like even these people who are alcoholics, it's a bad impulse. So her changing and stopping these
alcoholism
things.
is genetic.
But some will say it's whatever. Okay, there are guys who have stolen, they have been, it's called what? They have...
They're those impulse.
Yes.
Like I'm sure each of us has done something that was impulsive.
Yeah, I think,
I'm going to now a habit, a bad habit that you've done for a long time. And that bad habit, people condemn and say, this thing is not good. Then you change. It is very possible that this can happen because you are following a bad impulse as a fallen man. That's what my point.
Oh, so
But
you're
what of
saying
change,
approach this with grace because
Yes,
it could be just that it's the sin and the evil in us
Yes.
that led us to
that's
this
that's true.
Yes, that's something. That's an
so
angle I'm
that's,
saying.
I guess, the way you guys would look at it. I choose to look at it from a more scientific perspective, where we look at rape trauma syndrome, the effects, where science, psychology has actually accounted for it, saying, as you were saying, when a man is violated, whether by a man or a woman, he might react in one or two extremes. He will, because he's so confused.
Yeah.
He might think maybe there's something in me that made me very effeminate, and they become flowery, or he'll become so repulsed by it, he might even just become asexual, or he will want to assert his masculinity, so he goes around just being, sleeping with everyone.
Serial.
And same with women.
There's only one concern. There are guys who have not been done for that and they are gay. Those guys
That's why I
will say-
said those are usually very few, because
It's okay.
we have those instances here among animals, but among animals, it's usually animals in captivity which have been taken out of their natural.
And that's due to human.
That's why, taken out of their natural habitats. But yes, there are people who are generally born gay, but usually you'll find, as I said, those are just men. A man who's just in love with a man, he doesn't act gay.
Yeah, but
Like,
I think
you
one
get-
of the things I can add on to that, even biblically, is the conversation. This conversation is very sensitive for so many people.
Yes,
People in the
Very.
church,
Yes.
people outside of it,
Yeah.
atheists, Muslims, and all that.
Yeah.
But now, one thing we need to realize, even outside everything, what I have realized is this thing goes beyond even cultures. I think this thing is sort of like trying to mitigate people getting to reproduce, like getting to have more babies, because there's
From what I'm understanding, you're aligning with him when he says there's a spiritual element.
definitely there's a theory that people from the States are saying, we have a lot of people being, especially Africa, people, people are getting so many kids, so we need to find ways of reducing the population. And if you really think about it, this thing was not there in large scale 5 to 10 years back. It recently just started.
It became a thing.
Yes.
In our culture, we saw an explosion.
Yes. So now thinking about it from
But
that
we have
perspective.
teetered into the realm of conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Just
So
to be
now
clear.
think about this. From our standpoint, where we are as Africans, we need to look at this from the point of the next 10 years. Where are we supposed to be, and where will the children that are going to be raised, your children, what are they going to be raised thinking or believing?
The culture they
Because
must.
yes, if we sugarcoat this thing, and I think one of the reasons as to why God put one of the harshest penalties in the Bible regarding the LGBTQs is because the outcome of them acting the way they are acting is depopulation. When someone steals, the outcome is different from someone who decides to sleep with a dude for the rest of his life, or someone who decides to sleep with a lady for the rest, or even marry them and be old with them.
So just hold on, guys. Please subscribe, like, share, and join the conversation kindly. The comments. Let us know what you think, how you lean on it.
Yeah, so then to bring it home from the biblical perspective is God sees sin as sin, especially unless, not or except from the something called blasphemy. If you blaspheme the name of the Holy Spirit, which is technically denying Christ, knowing, getting to hear his word, knowing him, and acknowledging that you do not accept him and he does not exist, and cursing him out and living your lifestyle outside of him. Yeah, it's not
In fact,
technically.
don't even go further. Let me just, because the next topic is about that.
Oh.
Salvation is a personal matter, but this is a case of height in the world. So, in essence, this is what we're talking about. The question: is she allowed to change?
Well, I'd say if the question is is this, we all know salvation is a personal matter, right?
Yeah.
So her salvation is her business. But I'd say this is a case of her hitting the wall because she has herself vocalized, she's now ready for marriage, now looking for a husband. And then all of a sudden she's repenting. And not just repenting, going as far as to say, I am no longer I'm no longer an alphabet member, right? And we have to be sensitive because also of the algorithm, the Google algorithm, but also so that the conversation, this is an open conversation, there is no quote unquote homophobia or anything, it's an open conversation, but she herself has said it. So I'm left to wonder, this is a woman who has realized, Nyaje, I'm at that age, 38, 37, I'm at that age where I should be settling down. These are the last years where I could have any viable eggs.
Yeah.
So then she says, now I'm done. And it felt like the LGBTQ movement in her case was a costume that she wore, either maybe to belong with the people she was around or for protection, like an armor, like not an armor, like armor, that she now feels she can discard.
I think this is where also the church building culture, let me not say the church, because the church is individuals. The church is not the building. The building can be turned into a business.
No, but yeah, we're talking about the institution. The
yeah,
business
so now the
yeah.
institution, the structure and the culture that has been in the church recently, the recent past, has not been accommodative to understand that the church is not for healthy people. The church is for the sick.
Okay,
Christ did not come for people who are healthy. Christ came for the sick.
Yeah.
So when someone who's drunk comes to the church, they're not supposed to be sent away. Someone who is known to have stolen is not supposed to be sent away. Someone who is a famous influencer, LGBTQ, that comes to church is not supposed to be sent away. Because, again, how will they know that you are a follower of Christ if not by your fruit? Because what I've also realized recently is we are so quick as believers, or let me not say believers, as Christians, we are quick to speak out verses but not live it out. Living it out from the context of even when you don't like that person. That is now when it counts. Because it's easy for when you like that person. It's easy for me to come to Zol and say, my guy, you know the first. But when someone comes and they're smoking next to you, or maybe they've slept with someone over there, and then they come and sit here, and then they look at you and they say, I want to accept Christ. How are you going to look at it from that perspective?
When who they are is diametrically opposed to
because
who you are.
There's a statement which you say, if what you see is all you see, then you do not see all that needs to be seen.
Jehovah.
Which means Christ and faith is not based off of sight. Faith is based off of insight, what you believe, and the things in going deep. In Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1,
Jehovah.
it says faith is a substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen.
seen.
It doesn't work from a point where I see you, and the only thing I see are the things that you're doing now. The things that you're doing now might be a result of the environment you're in now. Maybe when you reach
That's
home,
what he
you might be a totally different. And it might be that case for,
That's what I'm saying.
for the
Felt,
person.
actually,
Yes.
that's what I'm saying. It felt like a costume.
So now the thing is this. Like, for instance, one of the famous people, Kanye West, recently, recent past, got born again. And then he went on to live his life again the way he was living. So now the question comes to...
But doesn't he have like a mental health problem?
Everyone has a sort of mental health problem. It's just the capacity of it. So now, it's true actually. So when you look at him and you look at the lady we're speaking of, Ntalami. Yeah. So it might. I'm not saying that's what it is, but we'll see the fruit as time goes by. But it might be that she lived this. Now she needs approval from this perspective. And the moment she gets it, she'll go back to this.
Something.
Or even it might just be genuine, where it was like, as you say, she lived this.
Yes.
Actually,
because another thing, before you go on, one of the other things I usually say is you don't rise to your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. So what systems has she been constructing all these years?
A different way. You rise to the level of your systems.
Yeah, you don't.
You can't beat, like, if you don't have a plan, you can't beat. Like, you can't beat anything, and you'll never rise beyond your capacity to plan. Yeah,
the thing that has become your habit, if you are not consistent and disciplined in changing the thing that is known as that habit, like for instance, her case, she might. There's a pastor called Jackie Hill Perry. she was a lesbian before she
Born again.
got born again, and then she's now married. And she talks about it, and she's like, okay, you guys.
First of all, you've gone to a pastor who's female, bruh, you've lost me there.
Oh yeah, I understand. But now the reality of the ground is this, huh? There's this human being that was on this side.
It's in the Bible.
There's this human being that was on this side, and then she got born again, and then now she's saying she got married, and this is not what
Her ways.
God desires of us.
Cool, that's a perfect message. Let her preach to women. Like, that's actually
Let Lily now speak.
There's something to say. I don't know
also want to ask you,
why.
Lily, when you Lily?
For 2.5 million. In it, bro. But I don't know why we have. I don't know why you're saying it's now she's sought salvation because she's hit the wall. It's probably just like she's
Most of the
lived
times
her-
that's
No,
the
that's
case.
her messaging. Even
Most
that's
of the
her
times,
messaging.
you see,
No.
when
marriage,
let
I
me,
want a family.
But it's
I'm
not
no
because
longer
she's hit
Lily.
the wall.
most
it's
of the
just-
times, our default
Setting.
character as human beings is we are falling short. The immediate thing that you seek is your flesh. The immediate thing that I seek when I see a lady is to have sex with her. It's not to pray with her. But now the thing that kicks in after that immediately is now what you have been dwelling in and meditating
And
on.
that's what differentiates us from animals.
Yes.
Thank
So
you,
now when you think about it
gentlemen.
from that perspective, you realize most of the people that I have met in life do not get saved because they just, it's a good day and I've been doing this and I don't feel like. Most of the people that I have seen in life attempt
think
to live
all-
out the world, and
Yeah.
they find out that they can't satisfy themselves. Then they look for something else. Now the problem is, if the church is not actually preaching the actual message of Christ, people get into it and then get out of it because they feel like this thing does not satisfy me, or they get into the situations where LGBTQ churches. You understand? Now the problem
they're
is
accommodated,
there are messages out here. Not everyone preaches Jesus. Maybe some people are preaching Jesus. So now it's, if you are not keen to study on your own and understand who this person is, then you'll be carried by winds of doctrine, and then that's what's called culture. So the church might come to you saying that they are the church, but it's just culture. Someone might come to you trying to please you because they know they need your offering. They don't need you to find your identity, because when you know who you are, then you can know what's right from what's wrong.
Christ, this became a theological.
Maze.
No, it's-
But yeah,
It's, you know.
for me, I'm just saying, I strongly think, I strongly think, yes, she's done all the worldly and bodily things, and now she's gotten to a point where she feels like it's not about hitting the wall. It's just, I don't know if that's called hitting the wall anyway, it could be. But you know, though, you get to a point, because I've been there, where you get to a point you're saying, in as much as I have a good job, I have good friends, I have a man, like your life is looking okay, but you're just feeling there's some form of, you're not satisfied, then you seek for satisfaction in what you believe gives you that, like the missing part of your life, and for you it's Christ.
So you say you believe it's a coincidence?
It's not a coincidence. It's just her time. Everybody has their time
That
of
coincided with
getting.
her hunger for a family and a husband.
I don't think so. I think it's, you know, maybe after she got saved is when she's now like, because
this started
these
last
are
year.
the things of God. You know, things of God. Maybe, you know, she's been able to learn about the Bible and the Word of God. And the Word of God says, you know, what does
Say
it
it,
say?
Come to me. Those who are
Those
heavy
ones,
laden.
and
Yeah.
also there's the part of you can feel the world, you know, like now she's starting to see I couldn't feel the world and procreate when I was a lesbian.
There's a-
now
there's a-
I can
there's a-
when I'm with a man. So as in
Well, no, she can procreate without necessarily
But
needing
actually,
a
guys, it's an
family
easy answer for Lily. Two things can be right.
I like that.
She can be hit in the wall, and she also need Christ.
I like
Two
that.
things
yeah,
can be right.
I
So
genuinely I believe she's in that place where because she has things were working for her.
Now the question I have for you is that, logically speaking, things are working for you. If it's not broken,
why are you fixing
I
it?
like
why are you trying to fix it?
But
Then
she-
that means something
No, but
must have been
does
messed
it
up
mean me
somewhere.
going to Christ is I want to fix something?
Yes, most
There's a place in the
most
word that
people
Christ
find
said,
God. Yes.
blessed are
Most
those who
people find
hunger
God.
and thirst
Yes.
for
Yeah.
righteousness, for they shall be filled.
Actually,
And then when
yeah.
Christ was preaching, most of his the proverbs or the parables that he's spoken about were for people who are looking for things that cannot satisfy them, and they realize they can't get satisfaction from those things,
so they
and the
can
only
get it.
satisfaction can be from Christ.
In fact, she said it in her own words. She said, I was depressed. Even she stopped drinking. She was kubaya. She actually said it. She was in a very bad spot. But guys, we have to move on, please.
Yes,
Easy.
We have to have 4 more questions, but they become 2 parts. The one will be, is she desperate to get married? And can she be considered wife material?
She's already said she's desperate to get married.
So can she be considered wife material?
I
Now
don't think so.
it depends on what you say by wife material. This is another thing I can say. You can take this one. What we usually say
Mulimpatia pesa.
Listen, a man is talking. Yes.
And then he said, you can take this
A man
home.
is talking. A man is talking. Take it away.
you become a wife before you are a wife.
Yes.
Ama you are a wife before you become a wife.
Yes.
Which means a husband, it's never written, no, in the Bible as it said, he who finds a girlfriend finds a good thing. It's he who finds a wife. So you're a wife in practice before you become a wife. So when you are in that position of this is what I've been living in, this is my reality, these are my habits, you cannot get out of that and immediately get married.
Valid.
You know why?
Valid.
When you accept Christ, your spirit is regenerated. But now, your flesh is still the same. Your mentality, your mindset is still the same. That is why there's a place.
I don't believe
Relax. It's biblical. In
Hey,
Romans
well,
chapter 12,
Even not just biblical,
verse 2.
it's practical.
Not
We
the
see
verse.
this. It's what you're saying passes the eye test. We
Yes.
see it every day.
Yes.
So,
Ladies,
but
make sure
I
the
want
back.
you to explain
Let
to
me-
me.
let me-
Wait.
Uh-uh.
I want you to explain to me here where it's saying after you have been you've been transformed by the renewing of your mind. Nimesoma nikaelewa sasa. Sikuwa nimese. Unaona alinipatia. Yeah, because I was not getting. Okay, I get you now.
I can
Now
also
you can
open
see why
another
you're
one for
single.
you. Another one is
Why am I single?
another
Because
one.
you have not. You're still conformed to the world. Don't
No, I've been transformed.
Parry after parry.
Relax. So when you've understood not be conformed to the pattern. So now in Hebrews chapter 6, it speaks about Hebrews chapter 6. Let me open it so that you don't say,
Hebrews chapter 6,
this guy
as you
is let me okay, don't read, or should I read?
Is it
Okay.
a long verse?
It's not a long verse.
It's one verse.
No, it's not one verse.
Guys,
Yeah.
what
So
it means
verse,
like
verse 1. Verse 1 says
Subscribe,
this.
guys,
Therefore,
subscribe.
leaving the discussion of elementary teachings, elementary principles of Christ, let us go to perfection. Not laying again the foundations of repentance from dead works and of faith towards God. These are things that when you get born again, as a child in the faith, you need to grow from. You understand? And then of doctrines of baptism, laying on of hands, resurrection of the dead, eternal judgment. And this we will do if God permits. Now, the perspective is this. When you are in the world, and even when you say, I am or I have accepted Christ, most of these things you still do. Most of the people that actually we know as Christians say that they have faith, but they actually don't. Most people say that they believe in Christ, but they do not live. Because the only way Christ said, the only way they will know you are my disciples is not by how many verses you can say. It's by your fruit. It's by unbelievers seeing you and seeing the lifestyle that you live and seeing that there is something that this person is.
So you
understand?
believe Ntalami now saying that I've been born again. You believe that she's still.
no more.
So now
Yeah, you
this
believe that
is
she's still doing that
this
because
is-
now she
no, no,
doesn't
no, no,
want
no,
the
no.
women
So
anymore. She
this,
wants them.
This is what I would say. If I come to you right now and say that I've been an alcoholic for 12 years, but from today I have accepted Christ, I will not drink again. Do you believe that that hunger and me being here will not find myself drinking again?
I believe you will not find yourself
12
drinking
years,
again.
not even 12, let's even say 20. That's
I
a lie. You're not
believe-
thinking logically because
I believe
at the
you
end
have
of it,
because
think
you
of
will
this.
have the
Think of
task.
this.
You will have
Think of
the
this. Think of
tama.
this.
Tama kwa kizungu ni?
This is it's
Thirst.
or hunger.
Thirst or yeah, you'll
Yeah,
have
so
it.
now-
but doesn't mean you'll do it.
This is why in the church right now, most people get into the church, are born again, but leave the church. Because we have not preached this perspective of as long as you have accepted Christ, it does not mean there is a 180-degree change from day one.
Which is okay.
There's something called rehabilitation.
Which
And
is, I understand.
Relax. And then there's also,
Rehabilitation and going back to drinking, those are two different things, baby.
no.
Actually, let me add on what you said. It's very true. It's very possible that, like, I use this example of planting a seed. You plant the seed, it has gone into the ground. It's a mango tree. It takes long to fruit. Doesn't mean because it's not fruiting, it's not a mango tree. this lady has the Holy Spirit in her, if she's truly saved, then she's still doing some other things in the past. Just because she's still doing them does not mean she's not saved. It takes time.
Okay.
That's the point.
To unlearn this.
Imagine
Yes.
all you needed to say was that. Umenipata vizuri mingi.
So what the
But I
question?
still believe she can.
It's possible she's
Yeah,
saved.
Let me tell
I
you this.
believe she's
Let me
saved.
say this.
Wife
Let me say
material.
this.
I
Even-
think,
Yes.
in all honesty, I don't think Lily is, like, you're not qualified to answer that because you're not in the, you wouldn't be in the market.
Why would you just
No,
say that?
this is a question.
You
that-
are my single. This man is
No,
toxic.
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying this is a question only the men would answer because we are the ones who'd be in the market for a wife. So when I listen to a question like that, like, is she wife material? I'll say not yet, and I'd say not yet for two reasons. She has had there's way too much water under the bridge than what comes after for you to be able to say, okay, she's gone from being a lesbian and now she says she's delivered. She's had way longer living in her
Yeah.
Sin.
I wouldn't call it sin,
No,
but
that's-
living in
that's
that
not even
lifestyle.
sin, that's
It's not
just
my place
nature.
to sin.
Because
But
before
living
you're
in
born
that
again,
lifestyle,
that's your nature.
and then you say now that she's changed, next year you hear she's married. Because next year she's married. Like, to me, it doesn't make sense. Or for her even to speak in front of people. There is way too much you still need to learn. There is way too much you still need to unlearn for you to be invited by Sitam Karen to be giving a talk. I'm like, how is that?
I think
logical?
also
Oh, sorry.
You've jumped.
But as wife material, no, she's not yet wife material.
And also to add on to that, she needs healing, because when you go through such an experience for that amount of time and you have not yet moved from the reason, or you have not yet addressed the reason as why you've actually been born again or are desiring to get married, there is, to me personally, how I'm looking at it is, it's like she's trying to run away from something and you catch up with her. You understand? So sooner rather than later, she has to come to that point.
She has to
of
face
understanding.
those demons.
Now this is where I call up the church. If we don't understand the significance of discipleship, there is even like the structure of most churches right now. You can't serve on the altar like as a singer or a drummer or a pianist without 1 year of going through a discipleship program. So how is it possible that someone is born again, immediately they want to get married?
But what is the definition of wife
Material.
wife material? Because I'm thinking if you're going to define it in terms of what a man wants from a woman, other than the sexual part of it, these other things.
Now it depends. Are you
Okay,
looking
now-
at it?
now,
Are you looking at it?
let me
from-
Wait,
Let me actually
this
explain.
what you're explaining to me what wife
I'm
material
saying-
is, because I
why
forget.
I'm saying that you're not qualified to ask to be part of this conversation as a woman is because I don't think there's any man, unless you're absolutely stupid, who considers sex when considering a wife. No man considers that.
So that's off. Then everything else in terms of a wife is. Give me something else.
Character. Okay. First of all, you need to understand this. Are you seeking this answer from the secular perspective or
No,
from the
just
biblical
no.
perspective?
We can give
Just-
both. because
yeah.
you guys
So
will be
you
in the
guys can
realm
give
of
yes. So now,
Christianity,
from the
aren't you?
biblical perspective, I can give this from the context of the
You
bride,
give me biblical. You give because you're not.
the bride of Christ, which is the church, which we are as believers, the bride of Christ, and the husband. Now, Christ is regarded as the husband in the Bible, and then we are regarded as the bride of Christ. Now, there are things or roles that we have to play as the bride of Christ. Not saying that all of us are ladies, but
Oh,
you understand.
utanijibu
So,
vingine
no.
staki. Nataka
I'm
uniambie
going- I'm
as a
heading there. Allow me
Christian,
to-
what is it that you
allow
want
me-
in a
allow
wife?
me to
Period.
Let him land. Let him land. Let him land.
It fascinates me that you want me to give you the answer you want. But
No,
not the answer
it's
I want
because
to
you're going and telling me we are the Bible, we are the. I don't want that.
okay.
You are a Christian.
Sawa.
What do you want in a wife? That's what
Submission,
I want.
give. A helper,
Uh-huh.
respect,
Those.
and
Also Christ, being in Christ.
technically, yeah. Actually, that's the first
Okay.
thing. You have to be a believer.
Sawa.
So
Yeah,
that you
yeah,
agree.
I agree.
So that- no, in fact, not do you agree? Give us your list.
No, it's the same thing.
The same.
thing.
And you?
Now, for me as a sexual,
Yeah.
Sexual man.
for me as a
Secular.
secular man,
Yeah.
God damn, Freudian slip. For me as a secular man, it is exactly the same list he has given. Maybe not with Christ, but even to define that submission, it's about being willing to be on my team. That is a different way of just saying submission. What I mean by that is, I do not want a woman for whom leadership is a headache or a negotiation. I do not want to have to negotiate with you for you to follow my lead. I will provide leadership. That does not mean I will tell you, and I've said this before, like I'll tell my wife what to wear, right? I'll provide what to wear within context. It's not like I'll wake up and tell her, yo, monamke vai. No. But at the end of the day, I will not tolerate having to negotiate leadership with my woman.
Sawa. So submission, respect, helper, and Christ. So, men, as I said, ladies and gentlemen, guess what? When Ntalami was in the LGBTQ and she was a lesbian, she was the girl. So she was submissive to the woman. She was a helper to the woman.
How do you
she
know
was
that?
Because if you're the babe,
that's a very good rebuttal.
yeah,
and I have
she was a helper also to the maybe the Christ is what was missing. But now she has Christ. She has the qualities of being a helper. She has the qualities of being submissive. The other one was, and she has the quality of being respectful. So why? Because she has become a Christian now. What doesn't she? Why doesn't she qualify to be a wife? And she has those things that you people want in a wife.
She was the submissive to a terrible approximation of a man. Like I said earlier, you will all notice butch lesbians, the dykes, always are a terrible approximation of men. They imitate the worst of men. That is why they all dress, talk, walk like an approximation of a fuckboy. That is just a fact. When you look at the way they style themselves, it is always like the Makanga bum. Right? It is never like the gentleman. Right?
That's true.
That's number one.
No.
Listen, that's number one. She was with an approximation and a terrible one. If you remember, if you're going to bring up Chris, also bring up the fact that she has been accused on multiple occasions of being an F
girl.
Yeah, because she is a terrible approximation. Now, hold on. Let me learn. The second thing is this. Yeah, not only was she with a terrible approximation, right? She is not with someone who is qualified to provide leadership. So what she is doing is pseudo. We'll describe it as pseudo. If we look at it and gauge it from, if we're trying, we can't copy one for one from the lesbian relationship onto a heterosexual relationship, because it is a pseudo it's a pseudo relationship, a pseudo approximation of the heterosexual relationship. That is why, as you said, there's the masculine, there's a feminine, but it's not exactly masculine, not exactly feminine.
But she still has the qualities you're looking for. Doesn't matter if I'm being submissive to a woman, I am a submissive person.
The third thing is about purity. I do not want a woman who has been of the world to the extent where she has partaken of what many would call deviant. Whether or not you agree it's deviant, but if we take heterosexuals being 90, in fact it's like 95% of the world, then she would have been partaking of the deviant. I want someone who is pure. Pure does not necessarily mean, well, ideally, and for me, I always tell guys this, I am Chim. I was just born lucky. I happen to get someone who's truly pure in every sense of that term, right? But my job used to be to make them impure. But ideally, when I'm looking for a wife, I want someone with whom I can say, you are not with a man in January and I started hitting on you in August. You're not pure. You still have his energy on you. You still have his aura on you. You probably even still have his seed in you, right? I want someone whose energy is not tainted. You've taken the time to actually untaint yourself.
Then I think the answer here should be, she is not wife material for your needs, but in terms of wife material in general,
there are three men here who have just explained to you. That's why who have just explained to you and you're still arguing.
We have gotten it.
You have
five men in the room. There are five.
Who has told you they've agreed? But you have
you guys. Actually, the next question is gonna be on what Lily is talking about, and I'll give my answer before you guys can take whatever. The question, it's the last question actually for closing this topic. As a man. Yeah, Sid laugh. You've really enjoyed yourself. Will you date?
Sid has had his the end. He's like, yes.
You're tired?
You're not based. You woke.
Yeah?
Patia Zola hii mic moja na ako actor himself.
No, today guys have been talking. Let me just be the host.
You're saying, is she wife material?
No. That's what I was going to do. The last question is, as a man, will you date a reformed lesbian? And I'll give it. I'll
Give the men, not me.
Initial whatever question. I don't know if is she wife material. First of all, I'll give a controversial take. God told another man to marry a prostitute. That's why I said, relax. The thing is this.
We really didn't need him anyway.
What that chick was called? I'm forgetting her name.
That chick, let's go.
No, Rahab, yes.
Oh yeah, I actually knew that.
And Rahab
Don't come back.
is actually...
It's not her phone, that is a Dogomodis.
Rahab is, I think, a great-great-grandmother of David.
True.
And the reason I'm using that example is we are talking about we cannot.
You're defending marrying.
Let me finish, Chin. Let me finish. I've not cut you short.
Yeah,
Let me
you're
finish.
right. No one has cut you,
Listen.
baby.
If we are going to talk about Michelle Ntalami, we cannot cut off from her becoming a Christian because that's a major part of this conversation, and we cannot divorce those two. So she is a Christian right now. If what she's saying is true, God told a prostitute to marry him, whatever, and she became the great grandmother of David. And also, Jesus is from that lineage. Now, me saying that does not mean I'm saying you go and marry a reformed lesbian or whatever.
And you're also not
But-
saying don't.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying God can do very many miracles for people. Myself, I will not do it. Because God cannot force you to marry someone. God cannot force you. You have to be a willing participant in His will for you. I'm just saying, as a Christian, the God we serve is so big, He can do miracles in crazy places.
Let
That's
him
what I'm
go
saying.
work that miracle for someone else.
See, my point was, as a Christian, I'll be remiss in my duty if I don't say that. Because there are very many people in the Bible who have had second opportunities. Because that's who God is. I'm not saying people should go and marry a reformed lesbian or... Is Michelle Ntalami a wife material to me? She's not.
But if we're going to use the Bible, there was also another prophet who God told to go and marry Meliah.
Yes, called
just
her- yes, called her-
so he
yes.
can be tested by that Meliah, so that God can use him as an example of his relationship with Israel.
It's called Haggai.
Yeah, and that Meliah tortured him.
Yes, but
sasa
I'm-
unaambia watu enda oa Meliah.
Who has said that?
He said he's not saying
What is
that.
that?
I think to add or to support him.
Now you're supporting him.
It all because it's biblical. It depends, and then I think if you're mature enough to sit in a conversation and be bold enough to say your opinion, you should also be bold enough to sit and hear what other people have to say.
Facts.
So don't walk away. You get. So
I did
now,
not walk away because I'm not trying to hear. I walked away because of how strong.
I'm a short chip.
That was a very visceral disagreement to what was being said.
it's okay, I understand that. But now, you need to also be considerate of the fact that if there were lesbians here or gay people here, they would also sit
Walk
down
away.
and actually listen to you. And you would
That's a fair
request
point.
them.
I'll take that.
Yes,
I'll
you
take
would
that as a
request
fair
them.
point. I'll take that as a
So
fair
now-
Because it's from a man. If I said it,
No.
Lily ni mchochezi
So
bana.
now coming to his point, you cannot. God does not exist in time, matter, or
Space.
He exists outside of that. So thinking of that, you cannot box him with what we think or what culture has said is right now. There's a point in time where polygamy was the order of the day. There's a point in time where people actually never thought of getting, actually there are different countries right now, people don't want to get married. So culture is different in different zones or different continents. But now where we are standing, now it varies from this perspective. There is the secular perspective of what we're talking about, and then there's the biblical perspective of what we're saying. What we're saying is not our opinion. What we're saying is what the scripture has said. You get, there is me saying my take that this lady is not wife material,
Okay, yes,
and I
yes.
would not date her right now.
Yeah.
But think about it from this perspective, Chip. You have said you slept with some mamas before you got married. Senior, what if we switched the roles for it to be from the lady's perspective. And it might be from the context of a guy sleeping with ladies is different from a lady sleeping with guys. There is that. But now looking at it from the biblical perspective, if you sinned, you have sinned. God does not look at it from you have been sleeping with so many ladies, so now you are not viable, or you are viable than a lady that has been sleeping with so many guys.
Okay, so now when you take the Bible into context, then I can't debate with you on that. However, if we come back to the material, right? If we come back to where we'll use logic, there are examples and studies that will show you it is not the same. That's a false equivalency.
What's not the same?
It's a false equivalency.
So he has actually agreed.
Yeah, he said
He actually
he's going with
agreed.
the
My
Bible.
bad.
The reason why we're going to that thing is again Michelle has
Then
now
let me
become
say
a
this.
believer.
Let me say this. If you're going to bring up, if the two of you are going to bring up Rahab, right? And also make sure that you bring up, let it be fully balanced, where you also bring up, you said her name was Haggai.
No, actually, both situations, let's get this straight.
Yeah.
God did not allow that relationship to happen because of the sake of making people happy. For both cases, it was as a result of Israel was disobedient to God. So the children that both of the families had were from the point of God was saying the firstborn shall be called this because my people have left me and they have departed from me. And this, so they were used as vessels because the majority of the society back then were not hearing from God.
Okay.
Imagine it took someone who was a prostitute for people to listen to what God had to say. So this is what he's saying. God can use anyone. And anything.
A big stumbling block for me when it comes to Christianity, a big struggle of mine with Christianity is the clash with logic. My logical mind hears what you're saying, and I would be very upset if a great big God would use me and my setting as an example and a negative one, like in the case of Hagar. That is a big stumbling block of mine. So
Why?
you will.
Actually, I'm in the same box as him. I'm in the same box as him.
Logically speaking, I do not want to marry a prostitute.
So are you
who's
saying-
who's going to give me problems for someone to say that is the example
That's
of
the lesson you should learn.
Like what?
Are you saying your lifestyle, no one on this earth has used you as an example of who you should not be as a man?
Oh no, I'm sure they are.
So are you saying that they have not used...
They did not put me in those positions.
In which position?
That is the difference. They did not put me in a position where I would end up being the example. What it was me as a man making a decision or lack thereof that led me to a situation or led me into a habit that I became the man I am, where someone would use me as a negative, it's called a negative role model. Right? Where it's like, don't be like this guy because of 1, 2, 3 reasons. My problem is you take away my autonomy and say, I will create a circumstance for you as an individual to put you as a lesson. That is a very big stumbling
Actually, I have
block.
an answer for this one. I have a very nice answer for this one. When you're a Christian, and that's why I said, personally, I don't want to be in that situation. But the Bible gives us different examples. Nearly every person in the Bible, if you are actually a Christian, you will go through some situations God puts you in that are very troubling, that you don't want to be in. And for you to actually prove that, when you say now that thing of the fruits, is can you be led of the Lord in a place where you don't want to be in? And where you
So
actually
the idea
accept what the Lord wants for
the
you.
concept behind the base podcast is to give men the tools with which to be able to make autonomous decisions.
Yes.
That is why I walked away. Because that example literally rests on you being a Christian and accepting for autonomy to be taken away
Actually,
from
you
you.
not listen to the whole answer. When I said this will be a controversial answer. I said the Bible says this because I'm using Michelle Ntalami, the Christian. She's a reformed lesbian. If the Lord leads her and you are a Christian, it's possible it can happen. But I said myself, I don't believe that is for me.
No, I hadn't gone that
Yes,
far.
that's what I'm saying. I said, for me, in the logical
Next
mind,
video, okay.
the logical mind, I don't believe it's possible. I said that. So someone who's in secular world can get that and say, okay, I'm not a Christian. He has given me the 2 points of view, from the biblical perspective and the logical man, or it's called the old man. The new man is a Christian. That's what you need to know.
So you asked a question none of you have answered.
Me, I
Would you
answered it.
marry?
No, he answered.
And you?
When he said no wife material, that was an answer.
And you would you
And I said,
Someone who's reformed.
A reformed lesbian like Michelle Ntalami. Do
Yeah,
you think
would
she's
you-
wife material?
No, that
Definitely,
one
definitely. For me
no, would
personally-
you marry someone like that who's a reformed lesbian?
When you say reformed, do you
Like
mean
ametoka kwa lesbian sahi, ameacha sahi,
No, if it's
anapenda.
sahi.
Okay, not sahi, but ever one time
because
in their
because
life.
how I usually think of things is this way. For instance, I'm using Chim because you've used your example. So now, Chim had a life before the wife. And if we balance the table and say this is how we're going to look at things from the place of if you slept with so many men for money, you are a prostitute, then you are not viable to be considered a wife. So then that would be the same case for the men.
No, because that's a false equivalency.
No.
If you say
I'm
biblically,
I'm saying this
I can't argue
from
that.
the context of looking at values of where you stand from. Like for
That's
instance,
a false equivalency then.
from my perspective.
Okay.
From my perspective. Because I can't come and hold you by this weight and say this is what you are supposed to be, like pure and all that, and you are impure. That's how I look at it from. So technically, I cannot say right now just because I'm a believer that I am pure.
Yeah, of course.
Because before I was born again, I was
of the streets.
there. So now me coming to Christ also puts me in that perspective of understanding this. It's easier also for men to control themselves when they were in that lifestyle than women to control themselves if they were in that lifestyle and they were addicted.
Okay.
So would you marry? My question.
If it is now, no. But
Hata alikuwa lesbian 5 years ago.
yes.
You'd marry.
Okay. Now,
Because again, another thing we can say is this. Chip, I know you know your wife, but let's say hypothetically speaking, you got married to her and you said that she was pure. What if she came to you 2 years later and she says, by the way, there's a time when I was a lesbian?
it's done. It's done. Now, simple answer.
Would
it's
you
done.
marry a lesbian? Okay, I know you're married, but you'd second wife. Would you marry a lesbian? Someone who has been a
No,
lesbian
what he
before?
said is he would divorce
As a concubine, not marry.
So you would divorce her
My wife?
if she said
I was-
that 10 years back
Yes.
I was attracted to
Yes.
ladies.
And it's not. It's not
I
about.
was attracted to ladies, not that she.
No, even if she
If
did the
she was,
thing.
yeah. Yes, and it's not about her being a lesbian. It is about the lie. You have taken away my
My
capacity
agency. My
to
agency.
make an informed decision.
Agency.
And the fact that you will allow it to drag on for so long puts your character into question.
I get that.
I cannot have you as the foundation of my family or the or of my progeny, my lineage. No, you will have to go.
So does it
hold
mean
on,
before
I want
you
to bring
married
it back
her-
to what you said. I want to bring it back to what you said previously about the when you try to make that equivalency, and it's a false equivalency because at the end of the day,
From the secular perspective, yeah.
yes, and I would say this is from the secular perspective. If it's biblical, I cannot debate with you. But from a secular perspective, the truth of life is that double standards exist, and nature itself enforces double standards.
Then why would
to
you-
the degree to which it is not just harmful for women to be promiscuous, it is deleterious. Even her organs are not designed for her to be promiscuous, right? Inversely, for me as a man, biologically speaking, even just how the phallus is designed is for me. I'm joking.
Word.
Is for me to be promiscuous. Now, that then raises the question of, as a man, do I choose to let myself sink into my base? That's the base self, right? Sometimes you don't even have a choice. And this is why it becomes murky for men. As a man, before you're able to score women, you have to have gotten so many other aspects of who you are right for that to even be an option. Meaning it becomes a reward. You see a balance. We have moved from it being a baser need of I'm just running around trying to sleep with everything to even if I'm running around trying to sleep with everything, I won't even get that chance unless everything else is in order. In which case now it is no longer base, it is a reward. So you cannot tell me that someone who had to get his money right, his body right, everything about him right, he had to be well read, well spoken, charismatic, funny, all of that coming into alignment, and then you turn back and tell him, you know what? I do not think you should indulge in the gifts that you've put yourself in a position to enjoy. And this is where Zola says the difference between the new man and the old man. I happen to be very Nietzschean in my perspective of things, right? And in that I say, as a man, put yourself in the position to answer that question. Would I be the type of man to sleep around given the opportunity, or would I not? And only then can you really say as a man, you have ascended.
That's actually a very good point. Yeah.
What I can ask you is, you have looked at the woman from that perspective, and there's that reality. And I do not negate the fact that is actually a reality in our culture right now. I also don't negate the fact that where we live in Kenya right now, most people live in double, even in the church, we live in double standards.
Yeah.
What people see is not what is actually there. So that I agree on. But now the question is this: for instance, let's say let's even remove the same-sex perspective. Let's deal with the heterosexual, because I don't believe have any of us been.
That's a personal question.
There's nothing wrong. Just I need to say this once again for the algorithms and for the viewers. We are not condemning or supporting LGBTQ. We're just having an intelligent conversation around our opinions and supporting them.
Yeah.
So now, from the heterosexual perspective, you have slept with specific ladies. What if a man came and said, from the pure perspective, I will not marry a lady that has slept with men. I need a virgin from this perspective. You slept with that lady that has now put her in a category where she is being seen as a lady that is impure. So you were the vessel that was used to make that lady impure.
Now, that then brings us to the conversation. No, it's very true, but that's a good question.
Vessel?
That then comes down to the caliber of the man, the material of that man. There is a reason why every man in this room knows this. There is a certain man, RPA director by day. There's a certain man you'll hear your babe used to deal with. Utangalia udemu seme, there is no way. Alafu mimi ndio I'm being given rules, mimi ndio I'm supposed to spend time and money. There is no way in hell. Sindio? What I'm trying to say is, not every man will be seen as a vessel that was for the ruination of the woman. However, again, and this is where now we have to really look at the duality of life. There is always going to be a man that is at a level of ascendancy that is higher than yours, who will see you in that light. Kweli rongo.
Yeah.
Make your peace with it. I have. Mimi, I said earlier, I was the one who would make them impure. There was a point in my life where I was that guy who you'd look at, you hear this guy has left the jury, and you'd be like, yuck. And I worked on myself, and I'm now at that point where a shorty will look at my wife and be like for me, my example, and I always give my personal example, right? A shorty will be, this guy is like 5'8", right? Yuck, he's short, right? And yet she will say, lakini, even if it's like, kuna venye. You get? That is what every man should be aspiring for, because there will always be something. Someone will look at Zola and say, I don't like this about you. But what mitigates on your behalf has to be more, and then you make your peace.
Actually, Tim, I have also an additional answer for that one. At the end of the day is, what can you get from it? Okay, I've slept with 100 bodies. I want a virgin. Can I get what I ask for? That's a simple question.
That's why I said, put yourself in the position to answer these questions as a man.
I'm shameless about it. I've done it. But can I demand what I'm asking for? Can I get what I'm asking for?
And life isn't fair.
Life is not fair.
I'm not going to be fair. I don't care if you guys agree with, if the women, the feminists, maybe we get a lot of feminists, angry feminists. I don't care what, and most of them are fat. Oh my God. Most of these feminists are just, they have a reason for being upset with life.
Since
right?
you'll edit that
Being
part.
fat is not
No, please, even that part you'll edit.
Why?
Last time TikTok messed us up with that.
Oh
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't care.
I know. You
I am
have
fat.
to, yeah.
I am fat, and that doesn't make me sad. What
My
makes me
point is-
sad is
Okay, I have a question
money.
before you say your point. You have kids, eh?
Yeah.
Like gender, sexes.
I have a boy and a girl. My son is
So now
autistic.
the question,
My daughter is very smart.
The question is this: I've had the grace of serving special needs kids
Yes.
for 3 years now.
Okay.
Every year we serve. We have like 3 months or 4 months. Like this year we had like 3 months of special needs camps. So now I know for sure you can get to teach them.
Yeah.
further.
Yes.
So now the question is, can you teach your son what you're saying to have those beliefs?
Now, this is a very, very complex question. I don't know if we have the time to delve into it, but just in short, no. And the reason I'll say no is even just in the tag of it, neurotypical. I can teach this to someone who is neurotypical. My son being autistic is not neurotypical. The set of skills I would bestow upon him with which he will face life are going to be very different because they have to fit his circumstance. Understand something. I make no excuses for the fact that I have an autistic son. I love my son, right? I'm a very, very, very protective father. But I have to be pragmatic and say, even the lessons I would teach, even if he were a normal neurotypical child, the lessons I would teach my son are different from the lessons I'd teach my daughter, because the world they are going to face very different.
Hey guys, I think we are done with this. We have had a very nice, vigorous conversation. We have debated where Lily has really enjoyed herself.
I really did.
See,
a lot of questions.
for the first
like
time in the podcast, I
You've
got
been told,
checked.
shut up.
I got checked.
But
Well-
just to, because you guys have talked about lesbians and anything, and asked if you'd marry a lesbian, even though a lesbian. Like
You
5
marry a
years-
homosexual.
I would not marry a gay man, even if he was gay 20 years ago.
Thank you.
I would not.
So,
Would you marry a murderer?
reformed.
Yes.
Yeah.
You would.
But those I'd explain to you
Christopher.
on a different level, because for the other, I mean, this we can talk about off camera, but I think I would. But also
guys-
no, I don't think I would. That man could one day wake up and laugh
Guys.
triggered kuni murder.
It's been
finished this,
real.
man.
Subscribe, please subscribe, share in the comments what your thoughts are.
Yeah.
Today we've had very, very interesting conversations. Both this and the last episode. Wise, thanks for coming through. Lily, you
Yeah.
brought the fire as usual. Zola, thank you.
Today was
moderator.
quiet. I was a quiet.
I think I can end by this before you even finish it. Is in
God
the
loves
believers-
you.
No, the believer's side is that the believer's side is there is something called grace.
Yeah.
But now we should not also use that grace as a license to sin just because you're born again. That means that you continue doing the things that you are doing. That's the conversation that we are having right now. Is just because you're reformed, it does not mean you need to keep on going back to that thing that was your identity. And it's in Titus chapter 2, verse 11, by the way, that says that the grace that offers salvation has appeared for all men, and it teaches us to say no to ungodliness and worldly passions. So understanding that, you need to bring yourself in that position where you also surround yourself with people who are of sound mind. Because you can't say that you're born again, but your whole circle is the same people that you're trying to get away from.
Agreed.
Got it.
Agreed.
Nifungulie
There you
Titus
have it.
tuseme
Guys.
bye.
There you have it.
Yeah.